Pennsylvania. Williams Grove Speedway is one of the oldest continuously operating dirt tracks in North America. Over a half-century of thrills and spills. Now, this half-mile oval is hard on engines, though. It's shaped more like a paperclip. Long straights and short corners. You have to use a low gear to launch the car up the turns, which really wrings out the motor down the long straights. They go mighty fast here, but with a little bit of strain. Hello, everyone. I'm Steve Evans, and welcome to historic old Williams Grove and our coverage of the world of outlaw sprint cars in a race they call the Pennsylvania Classic. Now, this track offers a nice twist for the fans as well. You see, they have a bridge over the racetrack, so the infield is all nicely mowed grass and caters to the family fans. I mean, lawn chairs, kids, and coolers are just about mandatory down here. And the old girl is packed tonight because all of the outlaw stars are here. And the first heat is already out on the racetrack. And so is Brock Yates.
I'll tell you what, Steve, I got the best seat in the house. We're about to start a whole night of racing. The first heat all lined up. That's Todd Schaefer on the inside, Craig Keel on the outside, Donnie Kreitz, a quick qualifiers way in the back. We got a bunch of heats, a dash, we got a B-main, a 30-lap feature. Kinzer's here, Sammy Swindell's here, the whole mob of guys. It's gonna be a great night for racing. Stick with us.
Little known fact, that's how Brock gets to all of our telecasts in the back of a pickup truck. It certainly keeps the airfare budget down. So while he's trying to get out of the pickup truck and up here, we'll tell you who is in heat number 1, 8 laps. 4 will transfer directly to the A main or the big feature tonight. And you definitely want to be in those 4 in any of these heat races, because if you're not, you have to run the B feature, which is really a consolation. You've got to win it or probably run second or third at the very best and tag on to the A. So to make any real money, you want to be in the front 4. Right, Brock?
Absolutely, Steve. Returning from that hazardous ride we had out there. That was a lot of fun, though. I'll tell you what, when you get a really close-up look at these guys, you can't believe how lumpy and bumpy that racetrack is. It looks pretty smooth on a beautiful night at Williams Grove, but I'll tell you what, it is not your pool table out there. These guys ride hard on a very hard-packed surface. It's going to get real slick tonight later on, too.
And that's about 6,000 horsepower rolling around out there. We can tell the noise level is pretty high, even at an idle. They're no longer at an idle. The green is out for heat number 1, the Pennsylvania Classic.
All right, Todd Schaefer, one of the local guys, jumps away. He's in the lead in that number 11, but here comes Donnie Kreitz on the outside. Your quick qualifier charged right through the middle of everybody to jump up into second place.
And back just a little ways in the back, we're going to find the 8 car of Craig Keel and the 19 car of Steve Smith. That senior will be seeing his son, Stevie Jr., a little later on. Jeff Shepard also back there for that 4th position, the 4J car.
Oh, there's Donnie Kreitz in that blue 69K, and he runs really well here. Donnie Kreitz is from right down the road in Sinking Springs, Pennsylvania, and knows Williams Grove like the, how shall I say this, the back of his driving glove.
Works for me, and here you see him in the 2nd position, challenging for the lead. Donnie Kreitz Jr., he's no stranger to the Outlaws, even though he doesn't run with the band full time. He's beat him before, and he might again tonight. You just saw the leader, Todd Schaefer, get a bit too high. That allowed Donnie Kreitz Jr. to make up some of that time, and he is challenging seriously now on the inside.
Yeah, he's riding that low groove. Schaefer can't seem to make that car work down low, and Kreitz continues to eat up the distance. He's going to try to get underneath them as they come down through turn number 3, off turn 4, down that long straightaway, and it looks like Donnie Kreitz will take the lead.
And he'll stay down low while Schaefer stays up high, trying to plant that driving right rear wheel up into the cushion. But we don't have that much cushion right now. The track may be a little too green to be running up there.
Well, of course, the big question, Steve, is how the old Williams Grove racetrack is going to lay out as the evening progresses. Sometimes they can get 3 racing grooves in this place, especially in turns 1 and 2, which are really wide. Right now, though, Kreitz seems to be able to work both on the high side and down on the bottom.
Now we go back to that transfer spot. Remember, that 4th position is all important. The great Craig Keel is trying to hold off 19 Steve Smith for that position. So far is doing it in pretty good style. And you know, also, Brock, as many times as we have been here, this is the best I've ever seen this track look. There's no dust. Of course, it's still the cool of the evening. Hasn't seen that much compaction, but boy, it's a beautiful piece of dirt.
It really is. As I said, after that pace lap, it's bumpier than it looks, but there is no dust, and the drivers are really using the whole racetrack right now. That is Craig Keel, still holding on to that transfer spot. There's your leader, Donnie Kreitz Jr., final lap. down the back straightaway, headed toward what is surely a good starting position in the feature.
And during the weekly season, guys like Donnie Kreitz Jr., all the people that race here have to run, Donnie Kreitz wins it, have to run a spec right rear tire. When the Outlaws come to town, they can run any tire they want. And that's been a little bit of a quandary for them. Donnie Kreitz obviously picked the right one, at least for the early going in heat number 1.
Well, Kreitz kind of moves back and forth between the Outlaws, their bigger shows, and runs pretty regularly here on the Pennsylvania circuit. The locals got to be happy with him because they consider him a hometown favorite. So all the folks here cheering Donnie Kreitz, Todd Schaefer, another local boy, Joey Allen, yet another one. Craig Keel, one of the touring Outlaws, he's in the final transfer spot. Everybody else runs the B main. Jeff Shepard, Bobby Weaver, Steve Beitler, Dale Lasco, they're headed for that dreaded B main. In the meantime, let's go down to Steve, who is with Donnie Kreitz Jr.
Well, so far, it's a perfect night for Don Kreitz. He was the quickest car in time trials. You've won heat number 1. Can you keep this up?
I don't know. I sure hope so. This Walmer pattern Schnee, Davy Brown powered cars hooked up a lot better tonight. And, you know, it just depends. I make the right choices for the feature.
The racetrack is as close to perfect as I've ever seen it.
I can't believe it. I mean, there's 2, 3, 4 grooves out there. You can run bottom, middle, or top. You know, it should be an excellent race.
Go get them.
Thanks a lot.
Brock?
Well, Steve, I'm with Craig Keel. Started on the outside of the front row and gave me a real good show at the start. Thanks, Greg. But he had also a good race with Stevie Smith Sr. and, more important, into the feature. So that's good.
Yes, that's the main thing. With all this heat, the track normally goes away a little quicker. We're a little bit tight there. But, you know, we can get her dialed in for the feature, make some money tonight.
Greg, on a deal like this, you got 4 heats. Is it better to run early in a heat when you know you can get in the feature, or is it better to run a later heat when the racetrack might be closer to what it's going to be for the feature?
I don't normally plan it that way, but a lot of tracks go away, and I've loused up in the heat and had to run the B, and sometimes it's actually nicer to run the B than you get closer for the feature. But usually it's nicer to get in through the heat.
At least you know you're in, right?
Yes.
Yeah, good. Okay, well, they're warming up for the second heat, so let's go. Good luck, Craig.
Thank you very much.
And Brock, in heat number 2, some serious talent throwing dirt onto the fans. They love it, by the way, as long as it stays out of their beer. Bobby Davis Jr. from Memphis, Tennessee in the front row, alongside Bobby Allen, the original touring outlaw. Aaron Berryhill, youngster from Tulsa, Oklahoma, Brock, who only his 2nd season has really shown some smoke.
Freddie Raymer, a good runner locally, as is Glenn Fitzgerald. Dave Mazzolini, he is a newcomer. We'll see how he runs with this pack, because this is a good field of automobiles and drivers out here. As they take the green, as Bobby Davis Jr. leads them down toward the green flag.
And headed into turn 1, staying up in the high groove, is Bobby Davis Jr. Down low is scruffy Bobby Allen, the 1A car. Great to see a racetrack like this where they don't fall, try to get down on the pole and just follow the leader. Boy, tonight is going to be, I think, and we got big problems going into turn number 3. That is Aaron Berryhill, the rookie from last year we were just talking about, and he really went for a ride, Brock.
Boy, he sure did. In fact, they've thrown the red here. They're going to stop this second heat without a lap being completed as they go over there to check Aaron out and make sure that he's okay. So Aaron Berryhill takes a real ride here at Williams Grove.
Pennsylvania Classic at Williams Grove Speedway. I'm Steve Evans with Brock Yates, and that is what's left of the 97B car of Aaron Berryhill. Being hauled into his pits. Don't bet they won't try to fix it. Let's take a look at the replay, Brock.
All right, there's Berryhill up high, trying to get around Danny Smith. Gets up in the marbles and tags that fence right as in the center of turn number 3, hooks that right front wheel, and that's what spills him upside down. Thankfully, though, the big Outlaw wing absorbs an awful lot of the impact for him.
Now watch how durable the modern-day sprint car really is. And also, those big, floppy, semi-low pressure air tires take a good deal of the crunch out of the crash. I talked to him. Ooh, Aaron, big-time tumble, buddy.
Yeah, I was going to try and get my 4th spot back and went in a little too deep and took a turn for the worse.
Race car looks like it's repairable.
Yeah, it is. We'll be back.
Can you get it back tonight?
Yeah, we'll be back in hopefully 30 or 40 minutes.
Okay, buddy. See you then.
Thank you.
Well, I'll tell you what, these things are like M16, Steve. You can field strip them in about 30 seconds if the crew knows what they're doing. There they are, starting to tear her apart. As you can see, the internal structure, the frame, and the essentials of the race car are unbent, unhurt, basically.
We just saw a man in a yellow driving suit in that help. That is Steve Beitler, and he is one of those guys that rushes to anybody's aid. We'll be seeing him a little later on, but he's really an ambassador for the world of Outlaws.
Well, he sure is, and he, of course, is also the guy that went in to save Doug Wolfgang during his very serious crash, and probably in many ways saved Doug's life, thankfully.
That happened several months ago, and Wolfie, if you're watching, we hope you're feeling better, and we hope to see you soon, more importantly.
Absolutely. And I got a feeling we'll see him again in one of these things. What a great competitor as we get ready to restart heat number 2 here.
And again, it's the front row of number 4, Bobby Davis Jr., 1A, Bobby Allen. And how about Lenny Krautheim, Brock? He got a much better start this time in the 3K car. He might be a factor, yes.
Oh, boy, absolutely. Well, Lenny knows this racetrack. He's one of the local boys, one of the, what they call the Pennsylvania posse, and he knows his way around here real well. Bobby Davis Jr. still leads it, but Bobby Allen, as usual, down in that low side, and he's going to hang in there and keep working that bottom until possibly either Davis goes a little wide, which he does right there, and Bobby Allen takes the lead.
Bobby Allen, he's never going to win any best appearing car contest, but boy, does he have the stuff that race car drivers should be made of.
Here is a great race going on. And now Bobby Allen gets a little bit of an edge here. I thought maybe Davis was going to get. Davis goes low now, and Allen went up on the top and still holds on to the lead. So that 1A of Bobby Allen's is working on both the high side and down on the bottom.
And everybody is learning from these heat races, especially if they're in the top 1, 2, or 3 slots and don't feel a lot of pressure. They feel they're going right to the A. They're going up and trying whatever tire they've selected. They tried high, low, in the middle. Heck, we're ready.
Oh, yeah. And speaking of pressure, that's the 21R, Freddie Raymer. He's trying to get around Danny Smith for that transfer spot. So Smith and Raymer, Smith in the 21, feeling an awful lot of pressure because, of course, if you don't do 4th or better in these heats, you're headed for the B main.
And the B main is not cheap to run. It's more wear and tear in your motor. You're going to use up at least 1 more tire, maybe 2. All in all, you want to avoid it like the plague.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely, because only 4 cars will transfer to the A main out of the B, and usually the field is either not only big, but it's got a bunch of fast runners in it as well.
All right, we just saw the 21R car, Fred Raymer, who challenged and passed 2D Danny Smith for the transfer position. He's now up into 4th, mission accomplished, and Danny now has to try to get it back, and there's not much time.
Oh, Danny Smith, one of the real regulars as an outlaw, has had some very good seasons. This year having some problems, and right now more problems than he really wants because Raymer's running away from him right now.
And so is that man in the 1A car, Bobby Allen, always a fan favorite no matter where he runs. He's kind of that underdog everybody roots for, even though he's really not an underdog. He just kind of looks like it. We're at the Knoxville Nationals in 1990 when he won there, and the fans about tore the place down. He's on the last lap in the lead.
That's right. Scruffy just got by Bobby Davis Jr. and just said goodbye. No problems. Unchallenged here. That long back straightaway. Here he'll just poke it into turn number 3. Nice, easy ride around that corner and down the straightaway. The checkered flag. He will have himself a good starting spot in the A main here at Williams Grove.
Absolutely. He will be a contender before this night is over for the top prize. And kudos again to the men and the women that prepared this racetrack. It's an absolute beauty. We've got heat number 3 coming up, and it ought to be a dandy, too. A lot of talent there. Stay with us.
Williams Grove. The sun is set, and we're ready for heat number 3. But right now, let's take a look at the results of heat 2. Bobby Allen, Bobby Davis Jr., Lenny Krautheim, Freddie Raymer in the transfer spot. Then Danny Smith, Dan Dietrich, Glenn Fitzgerald, Dave Manzolini, and Aaron Berryhill. He says he's going to be back for the B main. Let's go to Steve with the winner.
Well, Bobby, it didn't even work up a sweat in that one.
You think looking close? Yeah, a little bit I did, yeah, I think. Yeah.
Rate the racetrack for me tonight on a 1 to 10.
Oh, I think it's right there. It's 8, 9, because they got it smooth, and it's got some sticky spots in it, and it feels good.
Let me ask you, it's been so hot today, and it's still warm this evening. How much is it going to dry out, and how much is that going to hurt it?
Well, it's gonna dry out like any racetrack does, but it's going to be a good racetrack to run on. I think they're going to be able to run low and high.
All right, thanks a lot. Brock?
Okay, Steve, down the back straightaway, they're warming up for heat number 3. It will include guys like Jack Hodenschild and Sammy Swindell. Going to be a good one. But earlier, Steve had a look at the tire technology here. Every racetrack, a dirt track, requires different kinds of tire setups, and he had a look at what they do here.
Chris Santucci on the Sammy Swindell car is doing something that dirt track racers have done for, about 100 years. Custom grooving a tire. What is the art here, Chris?
Well, what you're doing here is doubling your sharp edges. Your track's real dusty here, and you need a lot of sharp edges to blow the dust off, so we're just doubling the sharp edges on the tire.
Do different tracks require a different design?
Yeah, this place here has got long straightaways and real tight corners, so you're almost sideways, so you need a lot of side bite. And going diagonal here gives you a little more side bite than if you went straight across.
Okay. I can't resist this. Looks like a groovy job to me.
Yeah.
Back to work, boy. Should have resisted it, huh, Yates?
Oh, boy.
Stuck in the 60s again.
Okay, my pickup truck's out there leading us back around, getting ready to go. And on the pole is Johnny Mackinson. Outside pole, Jack Houdenchild. We know about him. He can run real hard. Inside of the second row, Chris Eash and Sammy Swindell in that black #1. Joey Kuhn, Dave Kalaman in row 3. Row 4, Tony Greener, Ed Litch Jr. These guys are pretty much local runners here, Steve. They know this racetrack. Craig Eschenauer at the back in the number 85. He's kind of an X-factor, I'm sure, just out here to find out how the quick guys go.
Should be interesting to watch the number 10 car. Jack Houdenchild, as you said, that is the Casey Luna car, Ford-powered, and he has very little seat time in that automobile. Let's see how he can do with it here at Williams Grove, a big, fast racetrack. The Fords like that. That's the 10 car I'm talking about.
And look at this start, a three-way bash for the lead. That is the 17 car of Eash down low. Mackinson in the 65 at 10, a Houdenchild, all going at it for the lead right away. Down low on the inside in fourth place is the black 1 of Sammy Swindell. He's kind of bringing up the rear there, but it's Mackinson, and look at Houdenchild down low and then up on top in the 10. He got real loose there, Steve, and almost got it against the fence.
Interesting note, the owner of the 10 car is the lieutenant governor of the state of New Mexico. Do you think they like sprint car racing in the land of enchantment?
AC Luna, what a good supporter, what a good guy. He's had a car in this field for a long, long time. And as you said earlier, that big Ford engine, a lot of guys say it likes long straightaways where it can really, really leg it out.
There you saw the yellow car on the inside. 17E Chris Eash passed Johnny Mackinson for the second spot. And here, ladies and gentlemen, comes number 1, Sammy Swindell. And he, yes indeed, will pass Johnny Mackinson as well.
So the pressure suddenly rises for Johnny Mackinson, who's moved back into that dreaded transfer spot, and anybody else passes him, and he's headed for the B main. So he's got to hold on to that 4th spot.
There's the halfway sign from the flag stand. That yellow car riding in second spot, 17E Chris Eash. And on the inside is Sammy Swindell. And Sammy just doesn't seem to have his usual muscle out of the corner spot in the black #1 car.
No, he can't move in on him. He's tried that low side a lot and gets up alongside Chris, but as you said, that black #1 doesn't have a whole lot of steam coming down the straightaways here, and that's hurting him bad.
And Chris, even though he takes the long way around going up high, he carries all that speed with him. It's a great drive out of the corner. Sammy goes down low. It's the shorter way around, but not the quicker, because he scrubs up so much speed.
Well, a lot of people think these cars are pretty crude. You just climb in and stab them and steer them, but they are very sensitive race cars, and tire and chassis setup is critical. If you don't get it right, you're going to be like Sammy, and you're just not going to be able to run quick.
They call it missing the setup. In every form of racing, I think, they call it missing the setup.
It used to be able, you could just hair one of these things around, and a good driver could overcome a bad race car, but you can't do that anymore. And Sammy's going to have to go back in the pits and work on that car to get it back up to speed. As we got a final lap here, and Jack Houdenchild just runs away and takes the victory here in heat #3.
So the Ford-powered car, Jack Houdenchild, shows the way to a couple of Chevrolet products, Chris Eash and Sammy Swindell. But let's remember, though, Sammy in that 3rd spot, he still goes directly to the A main, and all he's got to do is just tickle the suspension and maybe the fuel injection or whatever on that car, and it'll thunder. You can bet he learned from that experience right there.
And you can also bet that he and the crew will be working on that thing almost before he unhooks and gets out of the cockpit.
They may not have to do too much to that 10 car. Boy, it was hooked up. Jack Houdenchild very happy with this new ride. He's a guy that has bounced around literally this sport for the last half dozen years or so, and is very popular with the fans. And I notice a real change in this guy. A lot of self-confidence and much more of an outgoing spirit with Haugenstown. Chris East, number 2. Sammy Swindell, number 3. Johnny Magazine gets the final transfer spot. Dave Colliman, frustrated by not getting it, followed by Joey Kuhn, Tony Greener, Ed Lynch Jr. in the 2L car, and treading the pack, the 85 car of Craig Eschenauer. Let's go to Brock with the winner.
All right, Jack. Bill Ford was honking tonight, huh?
Yeah, it's feels pretty good right now. We're just trying to keep up to the track here and maybe make a few changes for the feature.
Well, you got a little bit longer to go tonight. You think this thing's going to run in? This Ford seems to like to run on a lot of straights if you get off the corners, and it seemed to be getting off real good.
Yeah, the motor's running real good. You know, we haven't really had no trouble with it, and it's a 30-lap race, so, you know, I think we'll be right there at the end.
Go get him.
Thank you.
Jack Haugenstown. Steve?
Well, Chris, nice job. Solidly in the main event. You know, tire choice and tire wear is always a factor in these things. How do you see that playing out tonight?
Well, you know, I think we're going to have to go with a little harder tire tonight. You know, needed a little softer one last night, but I think we'll go a little harder tire and get our chassis working a little better.
Fun track right now, though.
Yeah, it's pretty fun.
Brock?
I noticed you tried to bottom on him a little bit, and then you went up top a little bit, but the car just didn't seem to be really hooked up.
No, well, we put a lower gear in it to try to run the bottom, and we just didn't have it hooked up down there, so we're kind of going to go, you know, back a little ways. But try to run the top, just couldn't get going fast enough up there, and it was even looser. So, you know, I just tried some things to see where the car was at, and, you know, I knew if we run the top 4, we'd be in here, so that was all we were looking for.
You just saw Sammy in the back of his fantastic 73-foot transporter. Big rig madness has hit the world of Outlaws. All right, we're into heat number 4, the final one around. Kenny Jacobs, he always runs hard here. Andy Hillenberg out of Broken Arrow, Oklahoma. Rocky Hodges, one of the bravest sprint car drivers I've ever run across, Brock.
Oh, yeah, and a good guy, too. We saw Rocky run a couple of years ago, 140-some-odd miles an hour around the big mile at Syracuse. Stood everybody's hair on end. I'll tell you, let's see what he does tonight as heat number 4 lifts off.
And it's 1S, Lee Brewer Jr., 1W Keith Toppin, 2 Andy Hillenberg for the lead, all 3 of those cars. 77 TW Kenny Jacobs, who we expected more from at the start, has fallen back to 4th.
Yeah, Jacobs apparently having some problems here as they go 3 abreast into turn number 3. Out at turn number 4, that's the 1 car, Lee Brewer, the 1W Keith Toppin, and Andy Hillenberg in the black 2 going at it for the lead. And look at Hillenberg way up on top, trying to get a high side. The Kaufman car can't get around on the outside. They were both up against the fence.
Yeah, Hillenberg maybe had it a little too sideways to be productive elapsed time-wise around this racetrack. Boy, the heats tonight as good as you will see. Sometimes they're not the best. Let's face it, you wait for the A-main. Not here tonight. Ooh, and Hillenberg gets even more sideways and gets tagged by Kenny Jacobs in the 7TW car. Severe but repairable damage to the left front tire hub and assembly there. You can see Andy Hillenberg already kind of peeked out and went, yeah, we can probably fix that. And I'm sure they will and be back for the B main. But as far as this heat is concerned, it appears that Hillenberg, well, he's out of it due to a problem in a collision with Kenny Jacobs. Stay with us. We'll be back to Williams Grove. This was a scene moments ago as the number 2 car of Andy Hillenberg was towed to the pit area. Hillenberg staying in the machine, not wanting to waste any time, get it back to the pits where the crew can go to work on it. And here is what happened in replay. You see Andy Hillenberg way sideways there. The lap before, he got about half that sideways. This time it comes almost all the way around. Might have been okay had not Kenny Jacobs come storming down the straightaway, unable to see him, unable to stop, slams into Hillenberg. Let's go to Brock.
Andy, any chance of getting her repaired?
Not for the heat race, but we'll be back later.
What happened? Just took a rut?
I just got a little sideways there, and it's my fault.
Right. One of the first race drivers in history ever to admit some mistake. That's very good. That's the first time ever. Andy, congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay.
Well, folks, I hope you were rolling your VCRs for that magic moment. No whining whatsoever from the Outlaws. And actually, in this circuit, that's pretty consistent.
It is. No excuses here in the Outlaws as we're lined up single file for a restart at heat number 4. Now, remember now, they'll start down the back straightaway right under this bridge. So they're at full throttle as they come off turn number 2. heading down the back straightaway, and they're at full cry now. Steve, in trouble already.
Oh, 2 cars head on into the inside wall on the back stretch. They didn't get upside down, but it was almost worse than that. They just went from about 60 miles an hour to 0 in a nanosecond. 66A Bobby Fletcher started 7th. He got tangled up with Billy Crawford. We just saw Billy get the steering wheel off of his machine. They snap right off. Both drivers are out of the cars and okay. Man alive, did they take a frontal shot. Whoa, let's take another look.
Okay, there they are coming down the back straightaway. As I said, they are now on full throttle, and there is Crawford getting sideways. He must have tangled up as they got underneath the bridge, and both took a sharp left turn right into that steel guardrail on the inside. And fortunately, that guardrail gave a little bit, absorbed some of the impact. The 66 car of Bobby Fletcher rolled a couple of times, came back on its wheels. It looks like they're okay. Let's go to Steve.
Well, Bobby, you're smiling. I can't imagine why.
Well, I guess if you can't be fast, you have to be spectacular. I don't like to be like that, but everybody was trying real hard, and we got together on the start, and those things will happen.
Exactly what caused it, you?
Well, I got together, I guess, with the other car. I don't know whose fault it really was. We just run together, and next thing I know, she was landing, so there wasn't much time there.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Thank y'all for being here.
You betcha, our pleasure.
Well, Steve, we've got us a red flag here at Williams Grove, so you can be sure that everybody's going to be trying to work on those bent-up race cars. Let's see who can get back into it as we have more of heat number 4. Flag has given Andy Hillenberg, number 2, the opportunity to be repaired, and he's back on the racetrack. But before we start, let's go to Steve in the pits.
Well, Billy, a nasty bit of racing luck. She's torn up pretty good.
Yeah, we have another frame at home. We'll try to get her together for tomorrow night, but this one's pretty much done.
You were the National Sprint Car Rookie of the Year last year, and you've got a great season ahead of you if you can stay out of trouble.
Yeah, those kind of things happen, I guess. A lot of blind sides on these race cars, and I don't know. It's just one of those racing deals.
Indeed it was. Brock?
Well, Steve, as you said, Billy Crawford going to try to get ready for tomorrow night. They're going to race all week around the Pennsylvania area, around Harrisburg. A bunch of races coming up as the Outlaws make that Eastern tour. But right now, everybody's concentrating on this great old racetrack here at Williams Grove. Lee Brewer, Keith Kaufman, and Kenny Jacobs going at it again.
The green is out. Rocky Hodges comes around 7. T.W. Kenny Jacobs for 3rd, right at the start, right at the front straight. Great move by Rock.
Rocky Hodges in that famous 29 Weicker livestock car out of Pennsylvania that has had so many good drivers on board. And look at that number 7 automobile of Kenny Jacobs. He just smoked him down the back straightaway to jump up into 3rd place.
And how about Hillenberg? 99 Kenny Adams, Andy Hillenberg in that 2 car at 29 Rocky Hodges. That is a fight for that 4th position, the most important position in a heat race.
All right, back down to the back straightaway, and the 7 car of Kenny Jacobs is slowing and is apparently out of the race. Tough break.
But look up front on the outside, the red car. That is Keith Kaufman, 1W, challenging for the lead. Will he get around? Yes, he will. Just blows Lee Brewer Jr.'s doors off if he had any. And look at the lead. He is extended within a matter of seconds. Boy, is Kaufman flying. And here's the fight for the 3rd spot. That's between 29 Rocky Hodges, Kenny Adams, and 99 car in the black 2.
And look at Hillenberg coming off turn number 4. He blows around Adams to take over the 4th and transfer spot, and now begins to challenge Hodges for 3rd.
That's right. Andy Hillenberg would like a little insurance here. Finish 4th or better, you avoid that B main. He didn't think he could do it after the crash. He didn't know there was going to be a red flag. And his crew, if he can transfer here, he owes a lot of the credit to them. Boy, they got that car back on the racetrack very quickly.
Sure did, and they've got Bobby Fletcher and Billy Crawford to thank for that, because without them and the red flag, he never would have made it. But right now, it is Andy Hillenberg who is doing a super job down low underneath Rocky Hodges, and he takes over 3rd place.
And in spectacular fashion. Did you see the front end of that car come up? He was riding a bucking horse. We are on the last lap right now. Hillenberg got exactly what he wanted. But the fight is still for that 4th position. Now it's between Rocky Hodges and Kenny Adams. Keith Kaufman up front. He's going to win it unless something drastic goes wrong. In fact, there is the checkered for Kaufman. He's won heat number 4. But who will have the final transfer spot? It will be Kenny Adams around Rocky Hodges at the very last moment. Well, I tell you, that was one of the best heat races I've ever seen.
Sure was eventful, as we had Kaufman and Lee Brewer going at each other for the lead, and then we had Andy Hellenberg lost what appeared to be his left front wheel set up, got that fixed after a red flag and came back to finish third. So we got Kaufman, Brewer, Hillenberg, and Adams transferring to the main. Rocky Hodges, well, he's going to have to work his way through the B main. The rest of the finishers were as follows. Kenny Jacobs, who retired, Bobby Fletcher, Billy Crawford, and Lance Louise all failed to finish. But Steve is with the man who ran hard right to the end, Keith Kaufman.
Keith, what adjustments do you make to this car, anticipating a changing racetrack to boot?
Well, you just try to fine-tune the car a little bit to see what the racetrack does. Sometimes it's a guessing game, but hopefully it gets right.
We've had some drivers tell us they'll go to a harder tire as the night goes on.
We'll have to go back and check the tire temperature after this race, but more than likely, that's what everybody will do.
Okay, we'll let you get going.
Thank you.
Brock.
Andy, great show. Super job. Guys did a great work to get you. I know Steve Smith's crew helped you, and some of the other guys pitched in and jumped back out there and just smoked it. Looked like the car was running better after you got the front axle changed.
I don't know. I think we was a little better earlier. We didn't have any brakes then, but I just appreciate everybody falling in and helping me. I guess that's what these guys that are your friends are for.
Makes this racing really great. It's sensational. Fans loved it. Great show, and more important, you're in the main now.
That's right. That's what's important.
Bypass that dreaded B main.
All right. Thanks a lot.
Congratulations.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Steve?
All right, we have a special and very important event coming up. It is only 5 laps of racing, but how about these names? How about Steve Kinzer, Mark Kinzer, Stevie Smith, Dave Blaney, Don Kreitz Jr., Sammy Swindell. Yep, this is the Tums Dash, and it will determine the starting order for the A main. Now, Mark Kinzer, Steve Kinzer, Stevie Smith, Dave Blaney, you haven't seen them in the heats because they did so well last night, they were exempted from running the heats.
But boy, are they going to go at it now as Mark Kinzer and Steve Kinzer come off the pole and outside pole to lead it down the front straightaway, and it's Mark Kinzer into turn number 1.
The Cousins out in front of the pack. The orange car, that is Mark Kinzer, 5M. The 11 car, that is Steve Kinzer, the king of the Outlaws. Not arguably the most successful sprint car driver in history.
Off turn number 4, and look at this. The yellow 7C gets underneath Stevie Smith. That's Dave Blaney to take over third.
Yeah, but he may not have it very long. Stevie Smith goes on the high side and puts Blaney back to fourth once again.
All right, there's your leader, Mark Kinzer. Right next to him, that's cousin Steve Kinzer. Right behind him is the 77 Stevie Smith. That's Dave Blaney and Donnie Kreitz. And Sandy Swindell, in a way, is a big news here, Steve, because he can't get anywhere. He made some gear changes, obviously, and screwed around with that car, but it has not done anything for him, and he's bringing up the rear.
Well, it looks like just a shortage of horsepower. On move right now, 69K, Donnie Kreitz Jr. challenges Dave Blaney for the 4th spot, and he has got it.
All right, Dave Blaney falls back a bit as Donnie Kreitz Jr. now moves up and sets his sights on 77 Stevie Smith Jr., but we've got less than a lap and a half remaining as Mark Kinzer, your leader, comes down the front straightaway to take the white flag. Steve Kinzer right behind him, but not able to make up much distance on him, Steve.
Well, I tell you, but Steve Kinzer's car, that 11 car, is so hooked up that it's doing wheelies coming out of turn number 4 and occasionally right down the front straightaway. The fans are loving the performance by the blue and white 11 car.
The winner, the Tums Dash, Mark Kinzer, Steve Kinzer second. Steve Smith holds on to third. Donnie Kreitz is in 4th. Good, strong racing here, although Mark Kinzer just came off the pole and ran away from everybody, showing some real strength here in that orange number 5 Payless car out of San Jose, California.
So Mark Kinzer made a few bucks, but more importantly, the pole position is now his for the A main. Steve Kinzer will be alongside him. Donnie Kreitz Jr., Stevie Smith will be the 2nd row. Dave Blaney and Sammy Swindell, who finished 6th.
The action continues here at Williams Grove. We're ready to go with a B feature, 12 laps. 4 transfer to the A main. Danny Smith on the pole. Jeff Shepard, Kenny Jacobs. Remember, he retired in his heat. Aaron Berryhill, he had a crash. Joey Kuhn, Dan Dietrich, Steve Smith, Stevie Jr.'s father in the 19 car. Good runner. Some very good drivers in this field, Steve. As always in the B main, a lot of guys have some problems in their heat and have to go into it. And then again, there we have some novices, some youngsters, and some guys just learning their trade. So always a lot of uncertainty and often a lot of action in the B main.
If you never believed the term desperate men do desperate things, you never saw the B main at a World of Outlaws contest. The biggest surprise has to be Danny Smith, though. The 2D car, he was quick enough to win any of the heats. He just, as you said, had an unforeseeable problem.
All right, we've got a green down the front straightaway. It is Danny Smith and Kenny Jacobs jumps underneath Jeff Shepard to take over the second spot.
Well, no question about it. Danny Smith and the 2D car, the 17W of Kenny Jacobs, they are the class of this field. If they run according to form, those two should run away with it and get a spot in the E-main. And look, at coming down low. That is the 7 car, Kenny Jacobs, trying to take the lead away from Danny Smith.
Smith holds on up high. Jacobs working the low side. Danny Smith up on top. Almost got up in the marbles, but it didn't work. Slowed him up enough, though. Danny Smith almost lost the lead on that little bit of a bobble, and Jacobs continues to work the low side and now takes over the lead.
Now let's see how high Danny Smith will go in turn 4. I'll bet not as high as he did before. I bet I'm wrong. Exact same line.
Car apparently not working well down low on the bottom because Jacobs is running away from him right now. That 97B car, the red automobile of Aaron Berryhill, remember, he crashed in the second heat. The crew put it back together again, and he sits in 4th spot right now. A transfer position into the A main.
If he can hang on to the 4th spot, but I'll tell you, there's an awful lot of hungry race car drivers behind him, including 2K Joey Kuhn challenging 19 Steve Smith for that 5th position. Joey Kuhn is on the move up through this thing, and he's still got some time.
Okay, we got a caution out as Kuhn and Smith were going at it. Two fine race drivers. The 39 car, Dale Lasco, has crashed in turn 2, taking some heavy hits. It looks like he rolled the automobile. The wing crushed down in the car, but apparently Dale is okay.
But the red flag, as always, has come out anytime there's a machine that's gotten upside down or is in any way restricting the travel behind the pace car. Let us show you why the red flag came out to begin with. It happened to the man in the bright yellow number 39 car, Dale Laxo, all by himself. Nobody touches him. He hangs that big right rear tire into the fence, much like Danny Smith did earlier. Goes for a tumble. The wing absorbs a lot of the shock. He is A-OK. Brock's with him.
Looks like you're obviously okay. Would you hook a rod?
Yeah, I guess I caught another wheel of another car, trying to go around on the outside, just not enough room.
That's one of the evils of this business. Just happens to everybody. I'm glad you're okay.
Oh, yeah, fine. We got a great sponsor, so we'll have a new car tomorrow.
Good deal. Well, most important, you're all right.
All right, thank you.
Okay, now.
I guess he thought that great big white wall looked like another race car from his position. I didn't see any other car in the picture, but then again, what do I know?
Kenny Jacobs continues to lead it here on the restart. Danny Smith, Jeff Shepard, Aaron Berryhill sits in that 4th spot. Joey Kuhn and Steve Smith. Watch these guys. They're both fine drivers from this Pennsylvania circuit and really know their way around Williams Grove. So they could be factors as we get ready to get a restart. They're going to go single file and Outlaw style, Steve. They're going to start going down the back straightaway. Figure that out.
Oh, yeah, and remember what happened the last time they did this? Boom. 2 cars nosed into the inside wall of the backstretch, but not this time. And let's remember, you got to be in the top 4 if you're going to get any kind of a decent payday tonight out of that A main.
Okay, green flag flies, and it's Kenny Jacobs and Danny Smith continuing to lead it here. Although Danny Smith stays up high and continues to lose ground, but the race for 4th now gets interesting.
Speaking of losing ground, Aaron Berryhill was in 4th. Now he's clear back in 7th. The 4th spot is Dan Dietrich, the 25 car, followed by Joey Kuhn, 2K, and Steve Smith in the 19th. Then Berryhill. Boy, he really went back in a hurry.
He did. There's Berryhill trying to make some ground back up, but that cluster of race cars going down the back straightaway really mixed things up. And Joey Kuhn now in the 2K and Dietrich in the 25. They are trying to move up and save that transfer spot. Remember now, 4 will go to the A main. So the 4th spot is a critical one here.
And down low, the white car that is in 4th right now, Joey Kuhn, 2K. It's got Dietrich in 25-19. Steve Smith all want to gun him down. But not the Kuhn is too strong for him right now, bro.
Absolutely. In fact, Kuhn is going to take a shot at Porsche. Jeff Shepard is sitting up in the 3rd spot. As there is Dietrich, there's Steve Smith. They're still in it, but it's going to take a bobble or some newfound power and handling for him to catch up and get into those transfer spots.
You know, how many times at World of Outlaws sprint car races at this point in a program have we been talking about that huge crater over in turn 4 or the ruts coming out of turn 2? Not tonight. Boy, this is a nice hunk of dirt.
Perfectly prepared racetrack and a great night. A little cool, kind of damp, but starlit night here at Williams Grove. Beautiful night for racing.
And a good night so far for Joey Kuhn in that 2K car. He is still trying to take third and is probably going to do it.
There comes Kuhn challenging the 4J, and he gets underneath him and will take over that third spot. At least briefly, if Joey Kuhn can hold that line as he comes down the back straightaway, he's got third place.
And indeed he has done that. A good drive, and that buys him a little insurance. You hate to be fourth. That's on the bubble in this kind of a format.
Yeah, no question. Better you can finish the farther up in that big starting field for the A-main you get. As the 25 car of Dan Dietrich and the 19 car of Steve Smith continue to go at it. That is the 5th place battle going on there, and Smith gets by him. Dietrich gives way a little bit to Steve Smith in that black 19 automobile as he uses the low line effectively to move ahead.
And now he desperately wants to catch the 4J car of Jeff Shepard. That means he would go into that A-main. If he doesn't catch him, he'll be a spectator watching his young son try to win that A-main.
Well, he's a proud father, no question about it, because young Stevie Smith is viewed as a superstar in the future. As that race continues, the white flag is out. Steve Smith has got one more lap to go, less than about a quarter of a mile to make up that ground.
Oh, I tell you, I don't think he's got enough horsepower or handling to do it. I've been wrong before, been wrong tonight. All right, there's the winner, Kenny Jacobs, 7TW. Still, that race for the 4th position continues.
Steve Smith chases Shepard, but Jeff Shepard holds him off for that transfer spot.
And as far as the 1-2 finishing positions, no surprise whatsoever. Kenny Jacobs in the 7TW wouldn't have been in the B-main had it not been for just a little stroke of bad luck. And the same held true for 2D Danny Smith finishing in the 2nd spot. Those two will go into the A-main and they'll take their time trial number with them. They won't tag on to the back. They'll have a pretty good shot, especially Kenny Jacobs starting in the 11th position coming up in the A-main.
All right, here are your results. Jacob Smith, Joey Kuhn, Jeff Shepard, and Steve Smith all did a good job, but it's Shepard who will make the A-main out of that group. Steve Smith going to have to load up on the trailer, as Ed Lynch, Dan Dietrich, Aaron Berryhill, Bobby Weaver, and Lance DeWeese all pack it up for the night. They're finished. But not so with Kenny Jacobs, and Steve is with him.
Kenny, I know you hated having trouble in the heat and having to run that consi, but by winning it, you keep your time trial. You got a good shot in the main.
Yeah, I think we do. We got this Tom Wimmer Gambler race car going real good, and McCurry tires are working good. I think we have a little advantage with our McCurry tires right now, and the track's glassing over, and I think we have a big chance in this feature.
Starting to see a little bit of dust up in the lights now.
Yeah, it's going to be dusty, and we're going to start, I think, 11th or 12th, and it'll be dusty to start of the race, but it's not going to be too bad for us. It'll be worse for you guys watching than it will be for us driving.
Okay, good luck to you, buddy.
Thank you.
Brock?
Well, Joey, good job. You got into the feature.
Yeah, that's the main thing. I'll tell you what, when you have this class of cars and these quality individuals involved with them, I mean, it's tough just making a show.
Yeah.
So we're just happy to make it in the way the night started.
Problem with the B-main, though, is you don't have a whole lot of time to change the setup, do you? You just got to scramble now.
Well, usually what happens if you're in the B-main, you're so far after lunch, you're guessing all night anyway. So you just guess real quick and make a bunch of changes and hope you're right.
Well, we sure hope you're right. Good job, Joey.
Thank you.
Okay, Steve?
Well, Jeff, you were really in the hot seat in that race more than anybody else.
I'll tell you what, boy, I mean, we've worked real hard, and our chassis has been working good for us, and just so happens we got everything together, I hope. We'll see how it happens in the feature, but yeah, I mean, it was close.
You're going to start way back in that feature.
I know. Well, I thought we might have get top 2, get our time back, because I think we timed like 17th. But it doesn't matter as long as we make it in the show, in the field. We didn't make it last night. We weren't even close.
We'll be watching.
Thanks.
Well, what he's talking about is this field of cars, the show, the A-main. 30 laps here on this half mile at Williams Grove. They're pushing them out. They're going to line them up for the Pennsylvania Classic. We'll talk with the guys up front right after this.
On to Williams Grove. You will seldom see a dirt track in any better shape, considering the punishment that this particular facility has taken tonight with the Outlaws. It's time for the main event. Mark Kinzer, you're on the pole, over $8,000 at stake. How are you going to handle it?
Well, for one, I need to get that lead right off the bat and keep all the competitors behind me and just stay as smooth as possible and try not to use up my tires.
How big a story is tire wear?
Tire wear in a sprint car racing is a major factor. Goodyear works with us real nicely, and for his experimental tires, we can generally get our hands on it pretty fast, really.
Stay out of trouble and bring her back in one piece, huh?
Thank you. I'm glad Diamond P's here to film this.
Boy, believe me, we're happy to be back. Brock?
Well, Steve, on the outside of the front row is yet another Kinzer, and this man has dominated the world of Outlaws, of course. Steve, you only ran the dash tonight, which doesn't give you a whole lot of chance to get the setup right. So you got to kind of, you and Carl just got to come out here and kind of guess real good, don't you?
Well, we, you know, with the car felt a little better in the dash. You know, I don't know. We're still not right, but we've made a few more changes, and let's hope we went the right way with it. You know, right now Mark's running good, and they said Donnie Kreitz was really moved up good in the dash. So I'm not feeling as good as we want, but a lot of times we went out not feeling as good as we want and made it to the checker first, and let's just hope it happens tonight.
Okay, Steve?
Thanks, Brock. Inside the third row is Dave Blaney, the yellow 7C car. And Dave, when I walked up, you were sitting here obviously deep in thought. What's going through your mind?
Well, just trying to maybe map out the first couple laps and see if I can get to where I want to go and, you know, get by a couple cars and just kind of, you know, see where things go as far as how my car is and how everybody else is.
Well, tell us the plan. We won't tell anybody else.
Well, I don't know the plan. I'm just getting a couple mapped out just to see what happens.
Hope the plan works for you. Brock?
Well, Steve, starting on the outside of the third row is an old friend, Sammy Swindell. And Sammy has been kind of up and down tonight. You're kind of still looking for the right combination, I would imagine.
Well, we tried some things in our heat and in the dash. We felt pretty comfortable about making the race in the heat, so we tried a little different setup. In the dash, we were last. It's only a few laps, so we thought we'd try something to see if, you know, if we could gain a big edge. And we've been going backwards. You know, everything we've been doing was in the wrong direction, so we went back to where we were when we started and was pretty close in, so I think we'll be all right.
Go get him, Sammy. Steven?
Well, the man driving the blue 1A car on the inside of the seventh row is often called the original outlaw. Original or not, you wish you had a better starting position, Bobby Allen.
Yeah, I screwed up qualifying a little bit, and we figured it out for the heat race. And yeah, I wish I'd have qualified better because it means a lot to start up closer to him.
Well, I think your helmet tells us exactly how much dirt is flying around out there.
Yeah, it's a little bit of dirt out there. It's getting slicked off right now, so everybody's changing tires and going for their little tricks and seeing what they can do.
This far back, you'd probably like to see a few yellows.
Yeah, I'm hoping to have at least 2 yellows, and I'm not one of them.
Okay, go get them, pal. Brock?
Well, Steve, I'll tell you what. If I was running this race, this man would be way up near the front. He just blew him away in his heat. Jack Hodenshaw with this Ford was running like a rocket. But because of the qualifying deal and everything, you're kind of starting mid-pack, and that makes it kind of tough.
Yeah, that's going to be real rough because we start 14th tonight. So, you know, it's 30 laps, so we're just going to try and keep up with them, and hopefully the car's working good enough we can get up front.
Okay, Steve?
Well, Brock, we're not used to seeing the number 4 car and Bobby Davis Jr. quite this far back. Bobby, I know you don't like it either, inside the 9th row.
Yeah, we qualified bad. The last 2 or 3 races we've been to, we've kind of missed it a little bit qualifying, so we just can't get, you know, the car loose enough to qualify. We got a long ways to go tonight, but like I said, the fast guys are definitely up front. It's definitely a place to be.
You know, Indy drivers always talk about the turbulence they encounter at the Speedway because of all the aerodynamics. With these huge wings this far back, do you feel any of that? Does it move you around, push you around a bit?
Well, it'll be bad. It'll be bad here about the first 2 or 3 laps when all the cars are still bunched up and everything. Even kind of like when you're by yourself, these straightaways are so long, it kind of, the wings just pull the cars down so hard that, you know, it messes with you pretty bad.
Well, we hope you have a safe ride and a successful one.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, everyone, stick with us. When we come back, we'll have the start of the A-Main here at the World of Outlaws, the Pennsylvania Classic. A capacity crowd. The Outlaws and their famous 4-breast salute to the fans. Where's Brock Yates? He's in the back of the truck again?
What a great show. Here they are. The great king of the Outlaws of them all, the number 11. Young Stevie Smith, the greatest young driver in the business, on his way to fame. And Donnie Kreitz, a local favorite. And on the pole, Mark Kinzer. What a great show. The fans are loving it.
Let's go racing.
I know coon dogs that don't spend as much time in the back of pickup trucks as Brock Yates does. All right, well, he's coming back. The Kinzer's on the pole, the cousin. You heard Steve say, look out for Donnie Kreitz Jr. He was moving up the dash. And Stevie Smith, boy, the younger fans here really rooting for that guy. Bullet Dave Blaney with Sammy Swindell alongside him. Should be interesting to see if Swindell has hit again on the combination. Andy Hillenberg, a miracle he didn't have to run the B main after he got together in his heat race with Kenny Jacobs. And in row number 6, we find the 7TW car of Kenny Jacobs. Boy, all of the Outlaws versus the Pennsylvania Posse or the Pennsylvania Classic. There's Scruffy, Bobby Allen, and how shall we talk to so many of these guys. Just saw Brock Yates go by, still in the back of the pickup truck, starting to let his tongue hang out now. I don't know. We got to do something about that boy. And what a hairdo. Bobby Davis Jr. way in the back for him anyway. Danny Smith, he'll need a miracle to win this thing, but let's remember, they pay back handsome dollars through the field. So the further up you go, the more traveling money you're going to earn here on a hot night in Williams Grove, Pennsylvania. And don't you know, there's some butterflies out there, especially the younger drivers. The Outlaws are in town. Every young gunfighter looking to knock them off. They're hammered down the start of the A main, and with me again is Brock Yates.
Mark Kinzer down into the low groove, and Steve Kinzer rides high as those two break away. All right, Mark Kinzer on the point down the back straightaway as he continues to lead it, but a mob scene as they head down into turn number 3.
Donnie Kreitz Jr., the 69K car, great start. He's in the 3rd spot, following the number 1 Sammy Swindell, and in the red car, 77, Stevie Smith.
So the Kinzers continue to lead it, but Donnie Kreitz nibbling away at him in that 3rd spot. And look at Steve Kinzer. They switch places. Kinzer down low, and he will take the lead away from Mark. Well, Mark Kinzer falls back to 2nd place, and now being challenged by Donnie Kreitz on the inside. So the first 3 cars are running close, although look at Donnie Kreitz down on that low side. Boom, almost up even with Mark Kinzer as they head into turn number 3. Off turn number 4, it's going to be Donnie Kreitz into 2nd place.
Donnie Kreitz's car has just a wonderful balance, Brock. He has hit the, quote, setup, no question about it. Back to the 4th spot here. And that's the black car of Sammy Swindell and the 7C car of Dave Blaney. Swindell right in the rim. Blaney, at least in turns 1 and 2, staying down low. Headed down into turn number 3. You can see the huge crowd, even on the bank there. There's not a seat, there's not a vantage point here at Williams Grove. It is flat jam with sprint car fans.
It is indeed. It's happened so many times here at this old track over the years. As the leader continues to be Steve Kinzer, but now being seriously challenged down low by Donnie Kreitz. Donnie Kreitz using that, what they call the Bobby Allen groove, down low, staying right down on the inside of this racetrack, whereas Steve Kinzer continues to ride the high groove. But look at this. Almost against the fence. Steve Kinzer bobbled badly in turn number 2, and it gave Donnie Kreitz the lead.
Normally, when Steve Kinzer takes the lead in an A feature on the 3rd or 4th lap, the fans say, well, see you later. Let's watch 2nd and 3rd. Not tonight. Donnie Kreitz Jr. has the car, boy. And there for 4th place is still Dave Blaney. Now, Blaney has it. Swindell takes it back in the black one.
These guys are going at it again. High groove, low groove combination here, the battle. And look at that, a wheel stand on the part of Dave Blaney as he came down the back straightaway. These cars are so hooked up as Swindell tries the high side, fails to make it work because Blaney holds on to that spot. Here's the race for 3rd, and it's Stevie Smith Jr., who is driven by Mark Kinzer. And Mark Kinzer, clearly, Steve, has lost the combination. Either tire choice was wrong or the chassis set up bad, but the young man just can't make it work right now.
Talking about those 2 drivers, you're talking about the future of sprint car racing in this country. Many folks believe, including yours truly.
All right, there is Dave Blaney in the yellow car sweeping off turn number 2. He has given way to Sammy Swindell in that battle for 4th. Swindell now holding on that position without a whole lot of challenge, running alone in the black number 1. But a long way to go. And we've got a yellow right now. It's Joey Allen, who is stopped up at turn number 3. No problems there, except he's blocking the racetrack, and they're going to slow everybody down while they get that car cleared away.
So Joey gives his brother Bobby one of the 2 yellow flags he was hoping for, keeping it all in the family. Stay with us. We'll be back for the concluding laps of the A main here at the Pennsylvania Classic.
Williams Grove, and I'll tell you what, Steve Kinser's prediction is coming true. Donnie Kreitz Jr., the man he said could be trouble, is in fact trouble. He leads it here. We're about halfway through. He leads Steve Kinser, Stevie Smith, Mark Kinser, Sammy Swindell, Dave Blaney, Chris East, Kenny Jacobs, Jack Houtenchild, and Andy Hillenberg in the top 10. But before we go racing, let's go down to Steve Evans, who has a guest in the pits.
Remember I told you at the top of the show that this racetrack was over 50 years old? Meet Buster Warkey, who in 1939, the first race ever held here was in the front row. Welcome, Buster.
Good to be here.
How do you...
Not many of us left.
Can you possibly compare these cars to what you drove then in any way?
No way at all. No. We didn't have anywhere near the horsepower they have now. We never had the tires that they have today. But we had as much fun as they did.
Well, I'll bet you did, maybe even more. It wasn't a serious business then.
No.
What about the racetrack itself? You've seen it, or has it changed much?
No, it hasn't. It's banked a little more on the corner, that's all.
How often do you come out?
Oh, 3 times a year, maybe 4 times a year.
Well, we're sure happy we got a chance to meet you.
Glad to be here.
Okay. What an amazing story.
Steve, one of the greats of the early days of sprint car racing, Buster Warkey, watching this field come down to take the green, and Donnie Kreitz continues to lead it, showing real horsepower on the low side.
With the yellow flag, they were able to bunch up behind Donnie Kreitz and hopefully get a shot at him on the restart. No cigar. Kreitz alert to the start and again establishes his dominance so far here of the A-main. Some great racing back in the back, though.
Absolutely. As we watch that 2-car down low, that's Danny Smith. He is not among the leaders. He's already been lapped as this field leaders continue to fly around this big half mile at near record speed. There is Stevie Smith Jr. in the Hamilton spinner still holding on to 3rd place. But right now the story is the leader, Donnie Kreitz Jr., is just flying around this racetrack. And there's Sammy Swindell. He's fallen back a little bit. He's not, Chris East has passed him for 6th spot, and Sammy is working back in the middle of this pack, nowhere near at the level that he wants to be, and I'm sure he's frustrated, Steve.
Well, maybe the most frustrated driver and most disappointing is Mark Kinser. After dominating the preliminary last night, starting on the pole here, he has slid back to 4th or maybe even further now. We really expected more from that car. But Donnie Kreitz Jr., man, he is hit on it.
He's got it absolutely zeroed in. There, Sammy got up on the dirt berm on the inside there. That car is just not working well at all for him. So the 2 guys that are kind of surprises so far into this race are Mark Kinser and Sammy Swindell, who have not shown anywhere near the potential we expect from them, and that's strictly car setup.
Well, if Steve Kinser in that 11 car is to have a chance, it may be coming right now as Donnie Kreitz Jr. gets into traffic. But boy, he is setting those cars up beautifully to be passed, Brock. He's not doing anything wrong.
Oh, yeah. Donnie has just absolutely dialed this car in perfectly for this racetrack, and he is to be congratulated, doing a heck of a job. Now, look at Kenny Jacobs, who won the B-main, starting to work on Sammy Swindell for that 6th spot. And Swindell staying down low. Jacobs working on him on the high side. Here comes this pair down into turn number 3. Let's see if Jacobs can get around Swindell, who's obviously struggling.
Well, Swindell is just hanging onto that pole to force Jacobs high. Jacobs doesn't want to go all of that high in turns 1 and 2. Tries to get down low underneath him, and maybe he can do it here.
Oh, Swindell got real loose, way up in the marbles on turn between turn 1 and 2, and that gave Kenny Jacobs just what he was looking for as he stayed down low and took over that position. Here's your leader, the final lap. Donnie Kreitz Jr. sinking Springs, Pennsylvania. A man who's run around this racetrack a whole lot during his young career, and he has dominated the show so far tonight.
And listen to the crowd as Donnie Kreitz Jr. takes the checkered flag in the Pennsylvania Classic in front of his hometown fans who are just rocking the old Williams Grove joint tonight. There you see him, the 69 car, Donnie Kreitz Jr., who showed great maturity as a race car driver with Steve Kinser breathing right down his hair bar. You can hear him there, you know he's there, but Donnie Kreitz was up to that tonight. Well, I'll tell you, he dominated. He didn't just win, he owned him tonight.
He sure did. Great piece of work by the young man. And there is Steve Kinzer, Stevie Smith in third. Mark Kinzer hangs on for fourth. Struggled all night. Chris Eash in the fifth spot. As we go down through the results, Kenny Jacobs moves up into sixth. Sammy Swindell, again a struggler, in seventh. Dave Blaney, Craig Keel, Andy Hellenberg, remember, came back from that crash in the heat to take 10th. Jack Outshell never got the Ford really working that well. Lenny Krautheim, Lee Brewer, Todd Schaefer, and Keith Kaufman round out the top 15. All fine race drivers. And now let's go down to Steve with the winner.
I think the K in Donnie Kreitz number stands for killer. You gave the Outlaws a shellacking tonight they'll never forget.
Woo! I don't know about that, but this Vollmer pattern, Schnee, Davy Brown powered car was really running good tonight. I was so worried that I'd put the wrong tires on because the car was fast all night, right out of the trailer, and I just hit it right on the money.
A dream night. You were the quickest car in time trials. You won your heat. You never looked back at anything you ran.
No, the car was just fast right out of the trailer. We had a little trouble here before. On a weekly show here, we have to run a track tire, and it takes a completely different setup on a car than these open tires like we run with the Outlaws. And took us a little while to figure it out, but you know, car really came around.
I'll say you figured it out. Great job and congratulations.
Thanks a lot.
$8,200 richer is Donnie Kreitz. Brock?
Well, thanks, Steve. What a great night of racing at this venerable old track. For Steve Evans, I'm Brock Yates. Thanks for joining us.